Let's talk about something. What if the biggest spiritual battles we face aren't really between good and evil, but are actually happening inside our own heads? That's the core question that author and thinker Jimmy Perez explores. He calls himself a seeker, and in this breakdown, we're going to follow his journey, a path from really rigid black and white beliefs to a more personal, questioning kind of faith. Honestly, it's a journey you might just recognize in yourself. So at the very heart of this journey is this one fundamental conflict. Perez starts with dualism. The idea that the world is a battleground of opposites, black and white, good versus evil, light versus dark. It seems simple on the surface, right? But for him, it just created this constant, exhausting tug-of-war inside.
And hey, let's be real. Haven't we all felt that? That feeling of being pulled in two totally different directions, fighting with what we've been taught versus what we deep down feel is true. This is the starting line for so many of us, and it's really the first big step on what you could call the seeker's path.
Okay, so the whole journey really kicks off by taking a long, hard look at those foundational ideas we grew up with. It's all about deconstruction, carefully taking apart the beliefs we just kind of inherited to see what they're actually made of.
And here is where the whole idea of duality gets a major flip. The classic view paints this picture of an external war, God fighting the devil, our spirit fighting our body. But Perez reframes this as an internal thing. It's not some war happening out there, but a tension within us. Two parts of a whole, the human and the divine, just coexisting.
And that new way of thinking keeps going with the whole concept of sin. The traditional teaching, as he talks about it, is that sin is this evil seed planted inside us from the start, a basic flaw in our design. But the seeker's view? It's way more compassionate. It sees our mistakes not as proof that we're inherently bad, but just as part of the messy, complicated, and beautiful experience of being human.
Which naturally brings us to the idea of goodness itself. From the time we're kids, we learn that being good is a transaction. You do something good, you get a prize, a gold star, your parents' approval, whatever. The journey, though, is about shifting away from that. It's moving from trying to earn goodness to just being good. An internal state that doesn't need a round of applause.
Okay, so you've taken apart all these old ideas. Now what? You can't just leave a void there, right? The next step isn't about finding a new set of rules to follow. It's about building something deeply personal, an internalized framework for the divine.
Perez does something really cool here. He reimagines the Trinity not as some distant, complicated concept, but as an intimate mirror of our own inner world. The Father becomes our internal compass, our gut feeling that guides us. The Son is the human example, showing us how to live. And the Spirit, well, that's our inner power, that unseen force that helps us grow and transform. It's a really personal and empowering way to look at it.
So how do you even navigate this inner world? Perez offers this beautiful metaphor. Knowledge is the tool for our physical, tangible world, what he calls the flesh. But faith is the tool for our spiritual, unseen world. It's that whisper we trust to move forward when we can't possibly see the whole picture. They're not enemies, they're just different tools for different parts of our being. And you know what else this changes? The whole idea of prayer. It's no longer about sending a wish list to a faraway God. In this view, prayer is one of the most intimate things you can do. It's a conversation with your truest self. It's like peeling back all the layers of ego and what you think you should want just to get to what's real.
All right, I know what you're thinking. This is some fascinating, deep, philosophical stuff. But what does it actually look like in day-to-day life? This next part is all about translating these huge ideas into a practical, everyday way of living.
It all boils down to one powerful, simple principle. Where your focus goes, your reality unfolds. Now, this is way more than just positive thinking. It's recognizing that whatever we consistently pour our energy and attention into is what we will ultimately create and experience. The takeaway is simple, but man, is it powerful. Choose your focus wisely.
And that leads to this incredibly practical, almost tough love kind of wisdom. Look, life is full of difficulty. There's just no getting around it. Marriage is hard, but so is divorce. Being fit is hard, but so is being sick. The real choice isn't between an easy path and a hard one. The real choice is picking which hard is worth it for the life you actually want to build.
This whole philosophy can also totally transform our relationship with other people. So much of our stress and anxiety comes from expecting things from the world, from others. Perez suggests a radical shift. Focus less on what you can get and way more on the value you can give. Because when you prioritize adding value to the world, your own life just starts to flow with more purpose and a whole lot less friction.
So, after all of this, after tearing down old beliefs and building this new internal world, where do you end up? What's the final destination? Well, the answer might actually surprise you.
Yeah, here's the kicker. The journey doesn't end with finding all the answers. It ends with the humility of realizing you don't have them. As Perez says, he used to think he knew a lot. Now he knows very little. The ultimate wisdom isn't being certain about everything. It's being comfortable with being certain of nothing.
And that kind of leaves us with this final, powerful thought to chew on. What if the whole point of this journey isn't to arrive at some neat, tidy conclusion? What if the real meaning of it all is found not in having the perfect answer, but in bravely and openly living inside the question itself?